Hello, today we are going to be cutting a watermelon. First thing is you need to have some place to put the rind, because I'm not just cutting it in slices, I'm actually cutting it off the rind into bite-sized pieces that you can store in a bowl and put in the refrigerator. If I was cutting this for a party, I probably would just leave it on the rind, cut it in chunks, and just leave it for people to snack on that way. But this is going to be just for my family, so I'm going to cut it off the rind. Now, this particular watermelon, the way that I have found to be the most reliable in terms of choosing a watermelon is to find one that has a yellow spot. Not a white one or a light green one, but a yellow spot. And I've heard many ways to choose a watermelon over the years, and this has proven to be the most reliable for me. The next thing is you need a place to put the rind. So I have double bagged 2 Walmart bags, and I made sure that there were no holes in them. Now that might seem pretty self-explanatory, but unfortunately I learned this the hard way. You don't want that juice dripping out. Excuse me. So I have rinsed off my watermelon and taken the stickers off, and I have the longest serrated knife that I've got. The reason I'm using this long one is because I want it to try to get through as much of my watermelon as I can. So there is no right or wrong way to cut a watermelon. I just know what I found that seems to be the most efficient for me. So first thing I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna cut it in half. Ooh. You gotta be very careful because these knives are sharp. There we go. Looks awesome. So now I take my watermelon and I flip it over this way. And now I'm going to cut off the round end. Boy, this thing's popping right off of it. Cut it all the way through. Okay, so now I've got this skinny little piece. The way I'm going to cut this is I'm going to cut it. I'm going to cut some like lines into it very carefully so you don't cut yourself. Make sure your fingers are out of the way. Cut it like this, and then I'm gonna cut it this away, like chunks, and then I'm gonna use my knife and I'm just gonna go through and carefully cut it away from the rind, like this. And notice I'm using kind of a sawing motion. That allows the serrated edge, the bumpy edge of the knife, to do its job. You use a serrated edge knife for bread, for meat, and for things like this. So I'm going to just kind of cut the rind into some smaller pieces and put it in my Walmart bag. You don't need to cut it into smaller pieces, but you get more in there if you do. So there's my first one. Now, I'm gonna cut a slice that's about an inch and a half. Maybe it's closer to 2 inches actually, I don't know. Turn it around so I can get this side. Okay, so I cut off my next slice. Looks like this. And I'm going to now use my knife, and again I'm going to basically cut bite-sized pieces, being very careful to keep your fingers out of the way of the knife. Now I'm going to go right down this first little wedge here, and that's one whole piece. It'll come out so you can see that one whole piece. That one I'm going to cut in half. But the rest of these, now I'm gonna come about wherever you want your bite-sized piece to be. And again, using my knife like a saw, just gonna saw right through the pieces and they fall right off. Like that. And then at the bottom again, go right along the rind, flip it around, do it this way. There you go. And now, cut this into some smaller pieces, put it in my bag. Now, sometimes you end up with pieces that are really big like this. It got cut, but not all the way through. Now, most of my pieces are about this big, which is pretty good. Sometimes people want really big chunks. This isn't very big. This is pretty good bite-sized piece. The bigger the chunk, the less fits in your bowl. So I do them smaller because I usually have a pretty good sized watermelon and I need it all to fit, or closely at least to fit, without too much left over to put in another container. But my family loves watermelon, so by the end of today, probably at least half of this is going to be gone anyways. So anyways, I'm going to continue doing that until I have it all done. One note about this particular kind of watermelon. I was told it was called a black diamond. They're my favorite. They're so good. But then I was told that in our area, I'm in Illinois, and in our area, we don't actually get black diamonds. We get something that is very similar. Apparently black diamonds, true black diamonds, are grown in places like Texas, where they have a long, hot growing season, longer than what we've got here. But regardless, if you find a watermelon that's dark green like this, grab it. It's awesome. Okay, so that's pretty much how to cut a watermelon. Once it's done and you've cut it, you're gonna have to store it in the refrigerator, and it'll store for a number of days if it lasts that long. If you notice pieces of your watermelon in the bottom starting to get waterlogged, so like they look like they're darker red, this is a red, but when they're waterlogged, they're like dark red and they look full of juice. You can take your bowl and you can kind of hold your hand right here and dump out some of the juice. And then those pieces on the bottom, some of that water will fall out and then they'll start to look normal again. So there you have it.